It's such an odd feeling seeing My Hero Academia and final season in the same sentence. I knew it was coming, but to finally see that the day has arrived, it's super odd. Because I know there's a lot of people that straight up don't like My Hero Academia. They either hate the anime, they hate the manga, they have many different reasons for disliking it. It could be because they don't like the writing of it, maybe they don't like shonen, maybe they don't like the community, or maybe they just don't like it because it's popular. There's many different reasons people do not like My Hero Academia, and this entire statement could honestly be applied to pretty much anything. But there is a lot of people that legitimately have enjoyed My Hero Academia. They have enjoyed the story, even if there's issues with it. You have people that have loved the theory crafting, the development of characters, who experience the journey. It is honestly just such an emotional thing to see such a long-running series come to an end. And as much as people might want to deny it and say that My Hero Academia isn't that popular, isn't that big, it is. It has defined a whole new generation of anime and manga fans, and it doesn't matter which side of the fence you want to, kind of fall upon if you disagree or think that's a bad or a good thing. The point of the matter is that My Hero Academia, it is a massive series that is officially coming to an end. The final page of the book is wrapping up, and it is a series that's been ongoing for literally over a decade. The manga started back in 2014, and I remember this time period. I remember this time period of when My Hero Academia was in its infancy, when it first started. There was no legal way to read the series. I remember the first 3 chapters coming out, I found out about it, and I remember you had to just, read this bootleg, summary version of it, and there wasn't really even proper translations for the series at the time. And then when chapter 5 came out, that's when you could actually start reading the series. Even if it wasn't unofficial, you could actually finally start reading it. Manga wasn't instantly translated like it is today when My Hero Academia first came out. And it really is a hallmarker or a transition from a different time period into where we're at now in the anime and manga space. The point I'm getting at is that there is a whole new generation of people that have grown up with My Hero Academia. That legit, it was like their first series they ever dived into for anime or manga. And just as how many of us potentially dived into anime and manga for the first time through either, let's say, Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, Sailor Moon, Hunter x Hunter, Inuyasha, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Those are many different hallmarker series that I think a lot of us have seen or grew up with, and My Hero Academia is one of those series that the new gen grew up with, which is also crazy that people like to throw around new gen for My Hero Academia when it's anything but. It is not a new generation series. In fact, I don't know what to really call it, but I would not call it new gen, because once again, a lot of people like to think that this series came out just 4 or 5 years ago, but My Hero Academia is way over a decade old. It's 11 years old. And if we're talking about anime, I mean, it's 9 years old. That is still freaking old for an anime series. So, it's crazy that there's a lot of people that like to say that My Hero Academia is a new gen series, when that is just so beyond anything that it actually is. But besides getting into semantics and terms and stuff, the point is that My Hero Academia, with this trailer and the final season set to air this October, it will be the conclusion of an era for anime. And I think it is going to be emotional seeing it go, because I made this very clear in my videos for My Hero Academia's manga. I'm not going to spoil, don't worry, for an anime only, but I've had issues with My Hero. I have. I've had a lot of issues with its final arc. I had some issues prior to the final arc. I have also had a lot of issues with the anime adaptation, especially after season 3 and 4. And despite those issues, it won't ever take away how much I did enjoy the journey. There was a lot of moments throughout My Hero Academia that I legitimately loved and I was passionate about. One of my favorite moments I ever had for My Hero Academia was that moment where All For One and All Might faced off for the first time in the manga in the first 60 chapters. It was insane. And then seeing it animated in season 3 was an incredible experience. And then fast forwarding to the Endeavor stuff, where Endeavor fights High End. Oh, that was a great transition to, like, Endeavor's character arc, and then getting into the stuff with, like, My Villain Academia, to seeing, like, just the journey of Shigaraki as a character, and then Gentle Criminal as well versus Izuku. Just, there's a lot of good Hallmarker stuff that I love from My Hero Academia, and I am sad to see that this universe is actually coming to an end. Now, to be fair, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, even when this series wraps up. When the final season has its final episode comes out, there is My Hero Academia Vigilantes, which is incredibly popular right now, and if I had to take an educated guess, Vigilantes could probably have 2 to 3 seasons, and then it's going to have to obviously wrap up. But the point is that in terms of the mainline story, My Hero Academia is coming to an end, and I honestly don't think it's going to be heavily extended like stuff like, let's say, Naruto is. I don't think it's going to get a continuation, and if it does, it's probably going to be a while, which that's another thing to really talk about. Horikoshi, the author of My Hero Academia. At this current time, we don't really know what he's doing. We don't really know what he's working on. We don't even know if he's, actually continuing My Hero to some degree, or if he's writing a completely new series. We have next to no idea. A lot of people might say he might be taking this last year just to take some time off, do some R&R, because obviously he was overworking himself quite considerably when he was writing the manga My Hero Academia. But I think that, despite that, we've seen him release illustrations for My Hero Academia in just the last year alone, and new controversies have appeared thanks to that. We all know the Mirako illustration. If you know, you know. But I think that Horikoshi in general, there is always a possibility he might want to continue this series to some degree. There is room for that. I do think there is. But I think that I would be very curious to see a new chapter in his life, a new chapter of manga that he wants to write, and see what he does with it. Because I feel like he's learned a lot from writing My Hero Academia, and his art has improved tremendously since he first began. If you go from, like, chapter 1 of My Hero Academia, and then you look at, like, the ending chapters, it's insane. It's actually jaw-dropping just how much his art style improved, and just progressively got better throughout the years. And I'm just gonna say it like it is. I say when My Hero Academia was ongoing as a manga, hands down, probably the best weekly art in Shonen Jump. It was very hard to beat. The only times that was ever beat, in my personal opinion, is when probably Oda was really popping off in One Piece with some certain panels, but overall I would just say that My Hero was the most consistent and well-drawn art in all of the magazine while it was ongoing. And there was very few rare exceptions that could beat it. But anyways, back into the main point of the video, it's sad to see this trailer, because I'm pretty hyped. I don't know if this anime, the final season, is going to be able to capture or even improve upon some elements of the manga. I have no idea, because I'm going to be completely blunt. The anime has done a good and a bad job over the years, and I've been left very jaded thanks to that. Now, what I mean by that is that there's just been a lot of good moments that I really loved from the manga that was just straight up inferior in the anime. One very good example, which is a very sore spot, you can call me salty or whatever about it, is the My Villain Academia arc and how that was handled in the anime. It was just a dumpster fire, and it was one of my favorite arcs, honestly, and once again, you could call me a crybaby, whatever, that's fine, but I was disappointed. And I think that there has been many moments throughout My Hero Academia's anime that is just degraded with time, and it's just very unfortunate, because My Hero Academia, its anime was very good. I would say in some elements in Season 1, 2, and 3, and even 4, there was moments that really outshined the manga, which, as I already said literally a few minutes ago, Horikoshi's art style is incredible for My Hero Academia. And for an anime to be able to kind of replicate that to a degree is stunning. And I think it's sad to see the degradation in quality over the years of the anime, despite obviously how popular of a series it is. Now, I'm not saying that every single episode of My Hero Academia's anime, up to these last few seasons, are bad. I'm not saying that. I wish it would have got more love, because it's not a small series. It's not a small franchise. It's not. It's had many movies spawn from it, massive community, and like I said, it crafted a whole new generation of anime and manga fans. You might think that's a good or a bad thing, really just, once again, it's up to your interpretation of it, but it's still sad. So, I hope this final season, this final section of, the anime, does the job right. We get a nice, good fight. We get some good animation and art, good voice acting. I'm not really expecting bad voice acting. Usually the voice acting is great. I never really heard bad voice acting from My Hero Academia, so I'd be very surprised if they failed on that end. But I think that as long as they keep the background art consistent and moody, which honestly this trailer does a very good job with the background art to the rain and everything, I think that we have some good potential here. We'll have to see where it goes, though. What I will say is I'm curious on how they will do the final episode. No spoilers, I'm not going to spoil it, but I wonder if they'll add more. So, let me explain. My Hero Academia is going to wrap up, okay? And when it wraps up, they have quite a few options. They obviously can follow the manga and just end it. They could do an anime original ending and do something else to dive into a potential sequel, or the ending is the same, but a little more, which hints at a continuation, which means that it opens the door up for a part 2 of My Hero Academia, or a continuation of the manga. Always a possibility. I think when the final episode comes out for My Hero Academia will be the true day we realize the future, the fate of this product. And if there will be more, or if there will not be any more. Personally, with how much of a cash cow My Hero Academia has been, I think it will get a continuation, but I also think that it's very clear in the last few years, fans of superheroes and all that, it's kind of dwindled a bit. I think that there's still some popularity around superhero stories and stuff like that, and villains, but I don't think it is as popular as it was in the early 2010s. And how it, we had this whole thing with Marvel and DC and stuff, and I feel like My Hero Academia really benefited from that boom, that big explosion of Marvel movies and stuff, Infinity War and all that, and I think with the overall, fatigue, I don't know if that's the proper word to use, but I feel like there might be some fatigue, that people are not wanting these same type of stories as much anymore, which is why I think there's been a massive shift into stories like JJK and Chainsaw Man. People want more supernatural stories now with spirits and ghosts than they do heroes and villains. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I've at least seen, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm curious on how they'll handle it, but that's way off in the future, because obviously we got to get the first episode first of the final season, so that's still a while away, a few months now. I am about 4 months away? About 4 months away. But I'll leave it at that. I wanted to talk about this. I thought it was kind of sad seeing this. It kind of made me a little bit emotional. I might be alone in that end. I know a lot of people might be saying good riddance, but I don't feel that way. I really don't. Anyways, I love you guys. Be safe. Stay healthy. Chibi out.